Bell Down. I'm Jason Gilbo at JGilbo11. Taking a look at tonight's pitching action. Wednesday, looking at the 7 o'clock and later games. Some bigger names on the slate, but some guys in not so good starts that I'm looking at. Guys like Chris Archer, there's some downside with him going up against the Sox team that's up and down so far, but Archer hasn't looked too great. Madison Bumgarner, same thing. There could be an injury concern. So a lot to really talk about with those top arms. But as far as some of the mid-play guys, they are quite a few intriguing options. So going game by game here, you're looking at the Tigers and Royals kick things off here. Vegas has this one as a pick-em over under a 7. Kauffman Stadium suppresses runs and homers, so decent park for both pitchers. Both guys, Zimmerman and Kennedy, have started out the season strong. Kennedy's probably more so on my radar here tonight, just going up against the Tigers team that do have some big bats on that side, but they do have a 26.4% strikeout rate here against right-handers to start the season. Obviously, Kennedy is home run prone at times, although Kauffman Stadium is going to help that a bit. Kennedy, an interesting GPP play tonight. Zimmerman, on the other hand, you look at the Royals, they don't strike out a ton. They make you work. I don't think he's going to really pay off that price tag. Kennedy in play, but I think I like him far less than some of the other guys going tonight. Next one, 7:05, Blue Jays and Orioles, R.A. Dickey, Ubaldo Jimenez. I want no part of either of those guys. I'm actually looking to target plenty of offense in that game on both sides, looking at an over-under of 9. Next one here, you got 7:05, Athletics and Yankees, Kendall Graven versus Nathan Eovaldi. Eovaldi's an interesting target, but I'm also very hesitant on him just because he's a lot of 341 WOBA to lefties in his career. Obviously, Yankee Stadium, very favorable hitter park. But you also are looking at an A's lineup that does have some left-handers that can do some damage. Stephen Vogt, Yonder Alonso when he's out there. Also looking at Jed Lowry, Josh Reddick, Billy Burns leading off, Coco Chris, whoever's in the lineup for Oakland. There's a ton of left-handed bats. So they're going to throw a ton out at Eovaldi. This guy does bring the gas. His strikeout rate not tremendously high, but he does have strikeout upside at times. Oakland, not a high strikeout team, but they do have some bats. Obviously, Chris Davis adding to that lineup is going to give a few extra K upside ticks to opposing pitchers. But I think there is some general risk in that game. The only thing you really like about that side is, New York is favored by -139 there. As far as the other side goes, Kendall Graven, not really on my radar. Don't like targeting this Yankees team in Yankee Stadium with all those left-handers, so that's a stay away from me. 7:05 here, Mets Phillies. Mets strong favorites at -151. You like that with Bartolo Colon. You like his price on DraftKings where it is dirt cheap. You can maybe pair him up with another top name, just 5,500 on DK there. So it's an interesting play. Phillies with a 3.5 run total. Colon strong favorite there. Nothing sexy about Colon at all, whether it's just his, appearance, his swing, whatever you want to call it. But the 42-year-old right-hander getting it done so far. Quality SP2 on DK. I don't mind him tonight in cash games or GPPs. You're looking at this Phillies team. You go back to last year, they ranked 29th in WOBA against right-handers, 21% strikeout rate. So not a big punch-out guy, but he does have 12 over 2 starts this season, just 3 earned. Dominated this Phillies offense earlier already this year. And you obviously have to like the Mets bats against Hellickson. So I'm expecting plenty of run support. I don't think Colon's a bad option. And, Colon being as top option as he is on tonight's slate kind of says a lot about some of the other names that are going and how they're performing right now. 7:10 here, you got Rays and Red Sox. Chris Archer, Rick Porcello. Porcello strong in his last start. Not particularly going to use him here against the Rays. I like other names better. Chris Archer, on the other hand, very cheap price tag on DraftKings, but is struggling tremendously to start this season. Kind of off my list until he fixes whatever is going on. Of course, he does have big strikeout upside. We saw that last year. But really, after that first start, not much from him as far as K percentage goes. So overall, I think you're kind of looking to fade, especially on FanDuel where his price tag is up, with the other 2 names there. So until Archer fixes whatever he needs to get done, I'll be looking elsewhere. Next one here, you got Dodgers and Braves. Ross Stripling, nice quality start guy tonight. Obviously, Julio Teheran on the hill. He was, scheduled to pitch yesterday, and obviously you're not targeting him against a heavy left-handed pitching or left-handed lineup like the Dodgers, giving his struggles against left-handed bats. Stripling, though, interesting play here. Another guy who's just not a sexy pick who is going to rack up a ton of strikeouts, but the guy does have an average 8.2 swinging strike percentage so far this season. Did struggle with walks in his first outing, but overall, I mean, he's allowed just 5 hits and 3 earned over 2 starts. Obviously, he had that no-hitter against the Giants for the longest time before getting pulled, never got to finish it. Ground ball rate, solid. It's right there where you want it to be, 54.5%. Low 90s fastball, not going to intimidate, but he's got average stuff elsewhere, so not a great arm, but he's a guy who can mix and match his pitches and should dominate an Atlanta team that's really struggled. 22% strikeout rate this year against right-handers, so it's nice to see that start climbing up for opposing pitchers. They ranked dead last going back to last year in ISO numbers against righties. So overall, Strickling going to be a solid quality start option tonight. I like him in cash games. I like him to get the win. He's kind of a safe play on board there. Next one, you got Nationals and Marlins. This one's interesting because you got Joe Ross, Wei Chen. Chen not really on my radar, even though he is a strong favorite going up against the Nationals team. Kind of like yesterday, I was looking at Zimmerman and Worth, Ramos, all those guys in GPPs all ended up going off towards the end of the game there. Obviously, Bryce Harper with the moonshot grand slam. Still, I think this is going to be a boomer bust Nationals offense that is going to be frustrating to target pitchers against. But overall, I'm not looking at Chen on tonight's slate. On the other side, though, Joe Ross, he's a guy who has mainly pitched better at home. He is on the road, but he did, throw a quality start against the Phillies. Was pretty dominant there. Doesn't walk a ton of guys, which is nice to see. 6.8% walk rate. Does have a nice 22% strikeout rate. So quality arm here. He's generating a ton of whiffs, 11.6%. So that's solid to see. And really, I mean, he's like his brother Tyson Ross. He throws that slider a ton. And that's what he's using to really succeed in the majors so far. So it's not quite as good as Tyson's, but overall, I mean, it's getting the job done. I like him a lot tonight, going up against this Miami team that really is mostly right-handed. You're looking at what he's struggled against lefties. It's outside of Justin Bour and Christian Yelich, and of course Stanton as well. And you do have Gordon up top, but if Ross can work around those bats, he should have a solid outing. And he's at a price tag where, yes, this game is a pick 'em. There's no clear-cut winner, kind of like some of the other options. But at his price tag, it's not going to absolutely kill you if he doesn't get the win, especially if he throws, another 7-inning game with 5 or 6 strikeouts. So going back to last year, Miami, 290 at WOBA against right-handed pitching, ranking in the bottom 5. So not particularly scared off of this matchup. I think he's a solid play in all formats there. 8:05, you got Astros and Rangers, 8.5 over/under. Doug Fister, not a guy I want to touch tonight against this Texas offense in global life there. Cole Hamels, interesting play because you got the Astros bats who are pretty free swinging. Hamels can miss some bats. Not quite sure if he pays off his price tag tonight, though. I think I'm a little hesitant on pulling the trigger on him. I'd rather go with another lefty who I'll talk about in a little bit. Next one here, you got Twins and Brewers, Tommy Milone, Jimmy Nelson. Nelson's intriguing. Tommy Milone, not so much. Over/under of 8.5, so obviously it doesn't jump out as a Vegas game that you're looking to target pitchers in. But Nelson is a guy who does have, solid upside, but also does struggle at times. Last year, he was all over the place. Nelson's struggles really come against left-handed bats, along with 358 WOBA in his career. Right-handers, just a 274 WOBA, 0.52 home runs per 9. Outside of Joe Mauer, it's a pretty right-handed heavy lineup, and this offense has really been struggling. 24% strikeout rate to start the year against righties, and going back to last year, they ranked 26th in WOBA. So Nelson is a guy who does have strikeout upside in this matchup, although it hasn't particularly shown this year because he does just have a 5.4 swinging strike percentage. But Twins should definitely help that. Nelson is going to regress. Obviously, you're looking at his just a few starts here. He's been solid, but a 1.157 BABIP there, 90.9% left on base. So 2.79 ERA, a little bit misleading. His FIP, xFIP are pretty high. So I think he is going to have a blow up or two coming up soon. and I think that is why Nelson is just a GPP play for me tonight, because that could happen against this Twins team who do have some pop, and Nelson is a guy who can be home run prone at times, so there is a little bit of concern there. Overall, I think he's a great GPP option, though. He's got big upside. Milwaukee is 125 favorites, though, which is pretty strong on tonight's slate. Next one here, you got 10-10 Pirates and Padres. Jeff Locke versus Drew Pomeranz. 7.5. You got San Diego small favorites, 2 lefties on the hill. Pomeranz has been, a decent arm for San Diego to start the year. I don't mind him. 15 strikeouts is a lot of 4 runs and just 11 innings of work this season. Obviously, like the projected run total here, just 7.5 between the two teams. I view them both pretty equally. Just SP2s tops for me. And if I can work around having them in my lineups tonight, I will. But I do understand they're pretty cheap. But I think just with Petco kind of helping them out back there, they're certainly in play. I think more so Locke, just due to that Pirates offense having a couple other righties like Marte, McCutchen, Cervelli, who can do some damage. So next one here, you got Zach Greinke, Madison Bumgarner, 2 guys that have an ERA over 4. Greinke 6.75, so not exactly what you expect from a matchup here. But Vegas is expecting another low total. Obviously, AT&T backing both those guys. But overall, I mean, Bumgarner's the guy I want out of this side. I think if you are paying up for pitching, it's for Bumgarner. There are some general concerns about his foot, his landing foot, going around, although he's mentioned stuff, but you haven't seen anything really official come out of San Francisco about it. But overall, that could be something. He's missing bats this year, but not quite what he was in the past 3 years or so, but still a 10.5% swinging strike rate. You got to love the fact that he's at home tonight, 2.85 career ERA at AT&T. You're looking at this Arizona team, no A.J. Pollock, 27.6% strikeout rate to start the year against lefties. Bumgarner does have strikeout upside here. And really, I mean, outside of Goldschmidt, there's not a lot to like on this Arizona team. You can look at Gene Segura and Wellington Castillo and say, yes, they can get to left-handers. But overall, it's not an intriguing matchup for me to really stay away from Garner. I think the price tag, maybe the injury concerns, is the only thing that can really lean me off of him. But if I'm looking to pay up tonight, which I really am not, it would be for Bumgarner. But I think you can go down to guys like Ross, Colon, Stripling as well. So those should be your cash game guys, and you should really load up on bats. That's the way I'll be approaching tonight. That's going to wrap it up here with the Pitcher Nail Down. Check out dailyfantasycafe.com for all the great tools and content.